Hey there, we're the Westlot Pirates and welcome to the show. We're here to share our thoughts on Northwestern athletics and college sports with thoughts and analysis from the visceral to the statistical. We run our tailgate with the red pirate flag flying high above as we give no quarter, especially the fourth. I'm Sam Walter.
I'm John Lacombe.
And I'm Eric Scouspo.
Well, guys, it was a fun weekend. A very fun Friday night under the lights. All three of us were there. It was really cool to kind of be there, and it coming off with a big win is big. Yes, was it against the cream of the crop? No, it wasn't. But, we were looking for a lot of signs. We were looking for some real positive takeaways to show us that as we move forward, there's things that we're doing well, there's things that we're doing right. And we saw some of those things. Unfortunately, also, we found out just today, Cam Porter is done for the year, which is just a heartbreaker. I mean, sixth-year guy, and now out for the rest of the year. Who knows if he'll be back? Like, he theoretically could come back again. I don't know. We'll see. But man, just that's just such a bummer on what was otherwise a pretty nice evening.
We were pretty worried about it in the moment when it happened. He had a long run and got. Frankly, hit out of bounds. No penalty flag was thrown, but went down awkward. And then, of course, they, walked him off. And then we saw him leaving the stadium in the cart. And we were really hoping, based on the walk, that it was something minor, just a strain. But obviously, it seems like a lot more than that. And, this, Porter going back to what 20 when did 2020
2020
yeah 2020
he was running he was our running back in the Big Ten championship game.
Yeah, he's been our guy. He's been a ton of fun to watch. He's been exceptional, and it's really
real
just
heart
stings.
and soul of the team. I mean, been captain now for 3 years.
He's worn the one, and he's such a leader of the team. You really saw it today, the way everyone's talking about him, the way Braun was talking about him. But I mean, this is stuff that we all knew. Amazing, just bell cow running back for us. But also, this is especially cruel in a couple of ways. I think one thing, there were a lot of people talking about this question of could he get a seventh year? And one sneaky thing about Cam, when I was looking back through his stats, is, and because of the way injuries defines a good part of his career, it's kind of easy to forget he's played basically 4 full seasons worth of football games. He played a lot more games in 2020 than you maybe remember. He played a lot, and a lot of it nominally at the start was in those times when we would just put him at Wildcat quarterback and throw him into the line. But he was doing that as early as October of 2020, and it seems like less because so much of his career early on was defined from coming back from that injury. It was such a brutal injury in 2021, and then he spent years working himself back, and you could almost look at the way he ran and be almost in a way looked like he kind of taught himself to run again. It was that level of injury, and he worked himself all the way back, and he helped us helped us so much in that 2023. I'll always remember that run to daylight against Purdue in that huge win. But, and then to just have it end with, well, we don't know. But again, to have him, knocked down with another injury like this is brutal. This guy deserves so much more than that.
Yeah. There's really no positive way to spin that. But like I said, there were a lot of good things to see on Friday night.
From Cam,
yeah,
first of all, right? I mean, that
12
runs
for
one of the best.
91, the 43-yard run. I mean, he was playing great.
One of the other things, unbelievably, I went back and looked at this. If you look at Cam's all the games he's ever played in his career and you rank them by yards per carry in that game, number one on that list is 12-point-something yards a carry in the first game he ever played on October 30th, 2020. The other second and third are the 2 games this season. So he, it was going as well as it's gone, and and that run was awesome. It like I was just sitting down in my seat when it first happened, so I was like, "Oh man, came to daylight." And you watch it on the tail on the replay, and it's like, "Oh man, he ran through contact." Like it was awesome, and it's going to be a real bummer. And I immediately think I saw someone that was like, get a grad assistant, on this guy right away, and my brain immediately went to Jeremy Larkin. A guy who transitioned right into coaching and has had really successful, young coaching career. And, I think we can all see Cam headed in that direction. But, ultimately now it's whatever he wants to do.
Yeah. So, other big positive takeaways. I mean, Preston Stone was better. I mean, would be hard to say he could have gotten worse, but he looked pretty good. 21 of 29 for 245, 3 touchdowns.
Like we talked about this in the pod. We can circle back to it, and because I still think there are major problems with the passing game that have to be solved. What's undisputable in this game is he threw hard, crisp, accurate footballs. He was throwing on target. He hit his targets. He just looked good. He looked good throwing the ball.
Yeah, whether throwing short, throwing long, there's some speculation coming out of last week. Like, does he doesn't really want to throw short? He seemed to get better engagement with the tight ends this week.
For sure,
found them a little bit more. I thought he just looked more comfortable. In fact, the whole offense just looked more comfortable. And the proof's in the pudding. 526 total yards.
Yeah,
this is the first 500-yard game I can find going back at least 2 seasons. I haven't dug into 22 or 21 yet, but I can't imagine that there were many 500-yard seasons.
No,
those 2 seasons. The closest I can find is 492 in that OT game against Minnesota early in 2023. But and this includes, FCS. Go back to Howard. We played Howard in 2023. Something like 380 some yards.
Yeah.
Wait, did they play a football game that day? I remember Howard brought their band. That was really cool.
Yeah. I just and I'm not trying to be overly Pollyannish here, because that's not my intent. The point is that there's a lot of people kind of ho-humming, this was a meaningless opponent, this doesn't prove anything. And yeah, in some ways, is this performance going to translate directly to next week against Oregon? No, of course it's not. But does the absence of a horrific day at the stadium, or a anemic offense again in the face of a lesser opponent, those things matter? That's real. We saw 100%. What this team can do when they can outmatch and they can play their game. And that the balance was better. I thought the play calling was, but just in general, this is the way it was supposed to operate. And now they have a baseline. Now they know what that's like. Even the Eastern Illinois game last year didn't look as good as this.
David Braun has the knack for saying the exact right thing at the exact right time in a lot of his press conferences. And a lot of that's because he shoots from the hip and he speaks from the heart, which I think will lead you in the right place most of the time. But he made the very obvious yet very salient point in his press conference after this game that FCS games haven't often gone this way for Northwestern.
That was really. I think that was before, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's you're absolutely right, and it's folks, if it was always this easy, it'd always go this way, and it doesn't.
I think the official quote was, I believe this program has lost FCS games in the past,
yeah.
Which is true. We've lost 4 of them in the history of playing them, I believe.
And we have played, the SIU game is the one that jumps out the most, but it's these have not been, we've played your UNHs, your teams like that, but some of these teams were not that great, and we just did not show up at all. In this game, Northwestern looked physically dominant on both sides of the ball, and except for a couple small stretches, didn't make mistakes. And that's it's a huge thing. I think you mentioned the tight ends. That's one of the single biggest positives for me. Stone just flat ignored his tight ends on a couple of big plays against Tulane, and you could see that was a point of emphasis. He was trying to hit him. You had the tight ends answer the call. Welsing, that one catch was incredible.
Yeah, it was great.
That was him identifying to be the short yardage target. It was really, really big. And the fact that he's targeting them, like, that matters. Like, that's a big piece of the passing game pie for him.
It is. And if those guys can operate in, run situations, it just gives the offense a lot more flexibility to operate. And then, you saw him hit a whole bunch of different targets. Drew Ragnar had a couple balls. Hyman had a couple passes. None of the kind that we want yet.
Yeah,
but he had a couple passes.
Getting closer, but
Elegon with a couple. Porter had a few. Welsing, Amarazi looked. He's not a fast dude, but he looked better catching the ball this week than last.
Well, and Wildy, Amarazi, and Hayden Elegon, and Frank Covey was out for this game, and of course, like, that's another guy who's been battling injuries for so long. I hope he gets back as quickly as possible. But you look at the guys who played the vast majority of the snaps in this game at wideout, Wildy, Amarazi, and Elegon. Those guys are all big and they can all block. And I think from a pure perspective of running duo, I mean, again, this is one of those things where it takes back to it again, like other FCS games that haven't gone like this. The line basically played clean, strong football, dominated the point of attack, and duo ran smoothly. And yes, this is Western Illinois, but I hasten to remind you all that the Northwestern running backs averaged over 5 yards a carry as a collective group against Tulane, too. Like, the running game has basically been working. It's not amazing. We're not blowing people's doors off, but it's
ask Ryan Bowe about that.
Unless you're Ryan Bowe.
Right, yeah, right. unless you're Ryan Bowe and you're dropping people. That's one of those plays where it's like, on one hand, I have no idea what, if any, value that will have to the whole rest of Bowe's career or
doesn't
anything
matter.
Involving
Does
Northwestern
not matter.
football. But
that's going on every highlight reel from now to eternity in Northwestern sports.
I want that poster.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. My brain went to, though, Coco Azuma in 2019 and be like, Coco Azuma carved out this long, successful career as a Northwestern safety. But before that, he kicked the crap out of Illinois running the ball in 2019. And it's like, those two things all will always exist separately from another, but it doesn't make the 2019 performance any less sweet. And, maybe Bo extends to this point where he's a Northwestern starting quarterback and he's throwing for a ton of yards, but he's always going to have the time that he planted a dude into the turf.
I mean, just
58 yards.
The one other thing I want to say about the running game that I think is important. We harped a lot on identity last week, and the biggest difference to me, when I sum it all up in terms, the offense looking more consistent, more coherent, et cetera, is they had an identity, and it was the running game. And then off the running game, there were early on a handful of deep shots that Preston took, a couple that landed with Wildy, a couple that did not. But that's
a couple that's
the identity. Yeah, but that's the identity, and that's what they want to be going forward. And we need that identity to be the foundation and the jumping off point, and then everything else, like, it's a work in progress.
Well, and that's
we can go after it. Yeah,
exactly. It's what you want to be grasping onto right now. And this is what, like, we'll talk more about this in a little bit, but it's like Northwestern can do some things right now. Will that matter against Oregon? Will that matter against Penn State? But we have been, if you step back and actually look at the whole way the schedule is, kind of blessed with a long runway here from which to take off, and the ability to be able to grind the ball. The other guy we should mention too is Komolafe.
Yeah.
He's stealth. I mean, if we're talking about offensive NBPs, I'd probably put Wildy number one through 2 games. Komolafe low-key and is right there. And, of course, Porter's been great too. The thing with Komolafe, though, is we talked about injuries so much with Porter. Komolafe is so clearly. Scuzz was on this from the very beginning with Komolafe. This dude was really hurt, and he looks like a different person now. He looks big and strong and cutting.
Cutting especially.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cutting, getting into the hole and then cutting, making a move. And that is the difference between this year and last.
Yep.
And honestly, it's what he looked like 2 years ago.
Right.
I
And
mean,
it's
that was clear in the Tulane game. John, we were watching. You were
yep.
in the bar together, and we just watched him like hit.
Right.
He hit a hole. He changed directions on a dime.
And his average was only like 3 something that game, and we were trying to tell people like, look, they're going to him. We need 3. Get us 3, and he would get you 3. Like that's like he's a hammer, and he looks. This is the other thing that we've talked about. He looks exactly like the guys Lujan was working with at South Dakota State right now. Big and strong, and you can throw him into the line.
He's not that big.
He's not that big, but he's pretty big, right? I mean, it works with him, and the time is now for Caleb Komolafe. And we can talk about the Hyman piece of it in a little bit too, but Hyman, for all his weight, like Komolafe is the natural fit here that Hyman, they just don't seem to like. You're going to see a lot more Joe Hyman because he's electric and he's nominally going to be one of our 2 running backs right now. But Komolafe is the fit for this duo and this offense here. And, and Daniel Anderson got onto the field for his first snaps too. And he's another big guy. And, you're probably going to be seeing a lot more of him too. But again, like credit to the line. Like the line is doing a good job. Like and again, I know it's Western, but this offensive line was so much of a mess between injuries and everything that went on last season. And things have been solid and stable and working through 2 games. Like it's not perfect, but they're doing what they need to do and running this offense. And yeah, like as we're figuring out the other piece, like this is all gonna matter on the offensive side of the ball. And then we should talk about positives. The defense manhandled Western Illinois in this game. I mean, it was utterly dominant. I mean, it's the defensive line in particular. They manhandled Western Illinois, and you ought have expected that they would. But
you know what you love to see?
What?
Number 1 wear and defensive tackle Carmine Bastone atop the tackle chart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Carmine 8. The big ragu 8. there was ragu poured all over a big plate of spaghetti, and Bastone 8. He was dominant. They were all dominant. Kilbane was just manhandling guys. Between those 2 guys, they were just bull rushing their way in. But fatality was Braden Bruss about killed a guy on that,
which caused the
play,
interception.
Which
pick.
caused the Mac Uline interception. And I think one of my takeaways there was this is the diversity that you get out of this. And we talked about the ability of this set to produce game-changing plays and how in games like, let's say UCLA is tight, that's the kind of play that's huge in a game like this. There was another time we ran fatality where, and this is something where I think Braun was talking about this in the press conference today too. Anto Saka doesn't have much in terms of stats. If you watch though, when we run fatality, teams double him. And there was a play where he was doubled. Everyone else had man up blocking. Najee swam his man and then obliterated the quarterback who almost fed another ball to Uline. And it's like, that's what this set does. It generates game-changing plays. And that's all humming. It's like we talked about it, like, the fact that it's Western Illinois probably masked the fact that this offense is still going to be trying to stop running games and get to third down. But that third down piece continues to just, it's vicious. But mostly they just looked like all of our defensive starters just were absolutely dominating them at all times. And until our seconds came in at the end of the game, we were never in danger of giving up points here. So,
Yeah, the touchdown in garbage time, 4 minutes left in the, or 2.5 minutes left in the game. Okay,
Yeah, it's whatever. Like the defense, again, not perfect. And that thing, when starting with Oregon next week, when you play the dominant running attacks, trying to stopping those early down runs is going to continue to be a really tough thing that this defense has to figure out. But since the first drive of the first game, they've given up 1 touchdown. And yeah, there's a lot of caveats. There's the Western Illinois piece of that and whatever else. But the starting unit, since the opening drive of the season, has given up 1 touchdown. So they're continuing to play hard, and they can be a dominant football team.
So, yeah, a lot of good things. Still, still works. Some things that are still work in progress. I mean, Stone did have a good day statistically, 21 to 29. But there's still some issues.
It's this team is still there. So one completed deep ball through 2 games. And that was the bomb to Wilde on the second drive. And that was an awesome way to start off. But, when you dig in and look at this tape, this team still hasn't figured out a way to throw deep. And they still haven't figured out, I would say, if you look at our speed group, and absolutely throw Joe Hyman into this group, but if you look at that group of Hyman, Farrell, Drew Wagner, Carson Grove, this team desperately needs like Preston Stone to fall in love with throwing to one of these guys deep. That is the missing piece. And it's a big thing, because especially with duo working, and especially with Stone's comfort right now, clearly with a group of receivers where Wilde's the fastest guy and you can expect he's going to get doubled all season. That right now is the Achilles heel of this thing, because any defense that can cover, or any defense even that can't, like they're gonna roll up and they're gonna throw guys into the box, and they're gonna be like, you can't get over the top. And
Willie's a fast guy, but he is not a take the top off the defense fast guy. And I think when he got open for that deep bomb, it's because he got inside leverage against his corner and had a step on him. And that's an easy throw for a quarterback to make when there's no deep safety.
Right. And
there were 2 other throws that were made. One, which was a pretty risky one into triple coverage. Wilde has this great leaping ability that frankly reminds me of Austin Carr. It's funny because we comped him to not Austin Carr explicitly in our preview, but he looks more and more like him every day. Because Austin Carr was not a take your top off kind of guy either.
No, 100%. Underneath, Wilde's your guy, man. Yeah.
But the other play that comes to mind is there was and I don't know if there was a blitz coming or if it just was one where they were trying to catch the defense napping or what, but like Preston did the thing where and I don't know that I've ever seen a Northwestern quarterback attempt this previously, but Preston did the thing where he takes the snap and almost immediately launches a deep ball downfield. And, you hope that Wilde gets a step and can run under it. And it didn't work. He was covered the whole way, and it was incomplete. But the through the course of the game, you can see that Preston is still pretty focused on Wilde, and I get it. I mean, he's the most consistent, reliable receiver right now, but without finding that true speed, whether it's Hyman, whether it's Farrell getting back, on the field again after having a bit of a tough game, whether it's Covey getting healthy later on, Drew Wagner, like we've got to find that speed, if nothing else, to just keep the defense honest.
Right, and that's the thing, is downhill speed, and I think it's a mix of a couple of things. One, it's kind of annoying to see, and I think like we talked a little bit about this last week, but it's bringing the speed guys on it, and those packages come out. And we ran this play. It was really funny, but also, I mean, you got what we were doing. Like, we basically ran Drew Wagner in motion 10 straight times, just running the same running play up the middle with that reverse action. And that was because, and Sam, I think you mentioned it, like we were asserting our dominance running the ball. And that's great. It's great to like get the guys going and let the linemen eat and do that. But there's like one of the kind of dispiriting things, and I say dispiriting in the short term, like they're going to keep trying to work this out, is it's sort of the Farrell and Stone situation in this game sort of felt like almost like a table read where 2 actors are brought in to read opposite each other for parts, and it just doesn't go well. There was a play right off the bat where we were in 5 wide, and watching replays of this play, I'm like, if you do nothing more than just fast forward the relationship of Preston Stone and Chase Farrell 5 or 6 more games, Stone's throwing this to him all day, because it was pretty clear that they were in straight man against our 5 wide. Stone knew because it was 5 wide, he was going to have to get the ball out really quickly. And then Farrell just dusted his man off the line immediately. And Stone just did not have the comfort there, and he didn't throw the ball over the top. And instead, he threw a heart attack ball to Amarazi, because Amarazi's by far his number 2 option right now. There's really not a number 3. And that was a ball that against Tulane very likely would have got picked off. And
ironically, if he had just thrown it up right off the snap like he did on that one play to Wilde,
just put air under
earlier, that would have been a touchdown to Farrell.
And that's the thing, is like, that was the first one. Then we know Farrell had that fumble, which matters only insofar as when he, like, then there was a play shortly thereafter where it looked like he ran the wrong route on another play that was open deep. And it's like, whereas the first one wasn't on Stone throwing it over the top to him, this one looked like it was on Farrell, and that just compounded Farrell's day. And I think after that, Drew Wagner started getting more of the snaps. All to say, there was clearly an effort with the coaches. Like, they get that they need to be trying to sort this out, and it's kind of like a 2 steps forward, 2 steps back thing. I think the realistic thing to look at this, the realistic way to look at this is, they know that they need to sort this out. Now, you can get mad at Zach Lujan for not having had more of this sorted out going into the start of the season. There's nothing wrong with that line of thinking. But in terms of right now, they're trying to work this out on the fly. And I think, like, well, so there's that piece of it. The other piece of it is Hyman, where it just stinks because in a situation, you know, when we had Porter, there was that real feeling during this game where this offense just doesn't seem to know how to use Hyman. Like, it just doesn't seem to find a way to get our most electric football player the ball. Anytime he touches the ball, I get that Venrick Mark feeling of like, lots of guys are really fast, but some guys, you put them in cleats and on grass, and they look like even faster. And Hyman has that. It's like he touches the ball, and you're like, anytime we just threw it to the ball to him out of the backfield, you're like, sweet. This guy catching the ball and running is just like electric. And you're probably going to get more of that now because he's probably going to play more running back now. But the flip side is, you know, this relative to Hyman, this feels like this makes it even less likely that we're going to see him at the slot, like running routes, catching passes. So that's,
well,
I
think the way
maybe.
that the way I would design it, frankly, is I really like when they put Hyman out in as a part of a 2-back set.
Mm-hmm.
And they did that a number of times during this game. Because you've got the Thunder and the Lightning. And then you can motion him into the slot if you want. You can have him go from that backfield position. It gives you some options, and that's probably how I would continue to build on it if it were me. Especially but like if you want to start putting tight ends on the field, it's hard. It's hard to go 1 tight end, 2 backs. What is that? 12 personnel,
right?
Or 21. I always get it backwards. Regardless, like that, there's some ways to go about it, but this was a big question we had last year a lot, where it just felt like we couldn't figure out quite how to use Hyman. And I think the Venrick Mark comp is a great one, because for 2 years, the 3 of us sat in section 126 of Ryan Field, screaming at the top of our lungs about them not using Venrick Mark, to the point where people around us were like, giving us daggers and be like, guys, what is wrong with you? And then they installed him as
and then he was an All-American.
Exactly. And they finally put him at running back, and he ran for 1,300 yards, and they made him, and he was an All-American. Like, it was mind-numbingly frustrating. And this is it's not the same situation, because Hyman has gotten a lot more run than Mark ever got in those first 2 years. But we'll just have to see how they go. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe they're trying to be cagey. I hate even saying that out loud, because I think it would be dumb to be cagey given the track record here.
Yeah, at this point. So I've got a question. Based on what you know about Duo, we see a lot of the slot receiver going in motion across. I wonder if we don't really see a lot of like the running back going in, starting in the backfield and then going in motion from there. Is that a duo thing or
No, it's not a duo thing. I mean, every OC has their motion that they use to try to diagnose what the defense is doing. So that doesn't really have anything to do with duo. I mean, like you'll remember the old, Bajakian's favorite thing was to line up 4 wide and then call the run, or 5 wide and then call the running back into the backfield.
Right.
And he did it over and over and over and over again. I think McCall used to do that as well. And then running across the formation is a classic way to figure out man versus zone. A lot of defenses have figured out how to adapt to that, et cetera. But like it's a way to run some checks to get a guy moving laterally, so you can run him on a route afterwards. Ironically, there was a play where Hyman did line up in the slot and ran across the formation. And John, as he started running across, you were like, "Oh man!" In the back of my head, like the talk track in the back of my head was like, "Well, hold on, it might be a wheel route or something." And no, he literally ran straight across the field. Stopped at the sideline.
Joe Hyman's road to nowhere.
Yes.
We threw an interception running this play against Tulane, and then, but for it being Western Illinois and Griffin Wilde and Preston Stone's throw and catch ability, we would have thrown a pick in this game on it too. It's the thing about the motion. I would love it if we, you want to run him you want to run a route with him, by all means, start him on one side and then motion him into the side you actually want to run the route out of and get your read. But anytime we're bringing guys in motion, it's always oftentimes what feels like a half-hearted attempt to simulate a possible handoff. But most of the time when we're not giving it, it doesn't look like we were going to give it. And you just feel, I mentioned this last week, you feel the defense relaxing. You feel like they're not being stressed vertically. And again, like in the case of Wagner, they ran it with him 10 times and they eventually gave it to him on the reverse. And that reverse was like a great move. He utilized his speed, but it's more like, it almost felt like he ended the game in the pole position for that fast receiver spot. And it's like, hey, if it's going to be Drew Wagner, that's great. I mean, like we got several burners on this team, but you got to start sending him deep. You got to kick the tires on this. I think, again, it's like, in the short term, we have a speed problem. And that's the thing, is like we have a problem with finding a fast vertical receiver that Preston Stone really wants to target. And that's like, we'll talk about it. Like we are blessed with potentially a long runway of sorts to figure this out. But Oregon is here now. We don't have it figured out for Oregon.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're talking about a speed problem. Is that something that might come up this weekend?
Maybe let's put a pin on this because, or put a bow on this thing, because I think what's important for folks to take away here is that like it's a speed problem relative to the type of offense we want to run and the type of players we have at the quarterback position. Plenty of Northwestern offenses have operated without a tremendous amount of speed at the wide receiver position, but those were dink and dunk type offenses of trying to run, 15 plays down the field and 5 yards here, 12 yards there, 7 yards there. There's nothing wrong with that,
right?
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. And when you have a guy like Austin Carr and enough players around him that he can gain, 1,500 yards receiving that one season that he won the Blitnikoff, or was in the mix for the Blitnikoff, that can work pretty effectively. Now, that season, if I'm remembering correctly, we also had Trevor Seaman, who was pretty damn good at the back shoulder throw on the sidelines to keep your safeties from dominating the middle of the field, because they had to worry about that soft spot between the corner and the safety and the sideline. We haven't seen Stone making those kind of throws. We haven't seen Lujan coaching or scheming those kind of throws. Like this is where I think criticism of Lujan and his ability to adapt or shift from his system appears thus far to be quite limited. And whether a better offensive coordinator or different offensive coordinator could do differently, I don't know. I can't say that right now, but just because we're not fast doesn't mean that we should be dead men walking, I guess is my point. And they're going to try to figure out the fast thing. I think that's what they should do because it's what we want this offense to be. It's what we want the identity to be. We talk about that all the time. It matters. If it doesn't work, we should be thinking about plan C.
I would phrase it this way. The offense, as it's currently constituted, will get shredded by Nebraska, Michigan, and Minnesota. Their defenses, if we don't find an ability to get over the top of those teams, and they feel like they can just press our receivers because they have a massive speed advantage and then take their already awesome run defenses and put 6 or 7 in the box, how smoothly we're running duo isn't going to matter. Those teams are just going to break us. They're too good on defense. And if you're giving them that giant carrot, they're going to just lean on you. And then with USC and Illinois, we might have slightly easier going, but those teams are going to have the ability to pile up points. The good news relative to all that is all of those games are a long way in the distance. It's 6 weeks to Nebraska right now. There is a lot of time for this to develop, for us to get answers here, for Stone to start figuring, this out, finding this missing piece to it. There's a ton of runway there. And I think to Scuzz's point, you look at UCLA, Louisiana Monroe, and Purdue. Even if those teams roll up, our offense can probably do okay just running the ball. I mean, maybe not great, but maybe okay. I think in a larger contest, our defense is going to be out for blood in those games, and that's going to make a massive difference.
Those teams do not have secondaries on the order of Tulane either.
Right.
There's somewhere in between Tulane and Western Illinois. And maybe a better way to put it is if Western Illinois is maybe the bottom of what we're going to see, and Oregon next weekend is maybe the top, I'd put Tulane well above the average. And those other teams you mentioned, Michigan, Minnesota, Penn State, Nebraska, yes, also way above the average. And then we got a bunch of teams that are below the average. And we'll see how we go.
And it goes, we talked about before the start of the season, the difference between the way the rest of the nation is looking at our schedule and then the way Northwestern fans are looking at this schedule. Man, do the next 5 weeks support that. Because all anyone in the rest of the nation's looking at is the fact that we play number 2 and number 4 in the next 5 weeks. I think we're looking, though, for all you Master and Commander fans, we have the opportunity to refit at sea here. We can figure out these problems while playing and winning 3 football games over the next 5 games. Because it's UCLA, Purdue, and Louisiana Monroe, and they're all at home. UCLA continues to look like garbage. And Purdue, speaking of, I think it wasn't at SIU, they were not putting SIU away for 3 quarters before they finally kind of got it together. Whereas Northwestern was all over Western from the very beginning. Through our ability to play defense, run the ball, and Stone's ability to locate to Wilde, and especially if he's continuing to find his tight ends, we probably have enough to get through those games while we work to improve. That's very doable. None of that has any bearing on Saturday, though.
Yeah, let's talk about this monster. Coming this weekend.
So on this past Saturday, we had our game Friday night. Great, a lot of fun. Saturday morning rolls around. I pick out my spot on the couch. Let's flip around, see what's going on. Yeah. And then, oh my God, flip on the Oregon game. Oh yeah, Oregon. Oh no.
Let me throw you guys some stats,
please.
I'm going to preface this by saying Oregon has played Oklahoma State, which is a bad team. We might also be. I don't know if we're on that order of bad, but
I would like to play that Oklahoma State team.
Yes, I would also like to play that Oklahoma State team. And then they played Montana State, who's a good FCS team, but good FCS teams take advantage of average to mediocre FBS teams. Good FCS teams wilt in the face of national championship contenders.
Which is what this team is.
in those are the 2 teams Oregon has played. Oregon's top 5 rushers are averaging double digits. Noah Whittington has 11.4 yards per carry. Jaden Leamer, 11.9 yards per carry. It goes on from there. Oregon's top 5, 6, 7, 8 receivers are averaging double digits, including 3 guys that are already almost at 100 yards on the season. They're averaging 14, 19, and 30 yards per catch. This team is absolutely loaded for bear. I posited that, the last time we saw Dante Moore, he was looking not so great for UCLA. Now, a lot of the problems he had at UCLA were dealing with pressure, holding the ball too long, taking sacks, making inaccurate throws, turning the ball over, etc. Neither of these teams have effectively pressured Dante Moore, as demonstrated by his 0 sacks and 0 interceptions. But when unpressured, he is virtually untouchable. He's almost 80% complete. He's averaging over 10 yards per carry. He has 6 touchdowns and 500 yards in 2 games. These are, just electric, elite, incredible numbers. Of course, they're going to come down as the schedule gets harder. Of course, our defense is going to have an opportunity to make some noise, especially if we were able to get to some choice third downs. But we are facing potentially the best offense in the entire country on Saturday.
To give no short shrift to our defense, I think our defense continues to improve. And again, we talked about that first, second down, trying to tighten up the run defense. But you look at any 4 defensive linemen we put on the field, Uline, Bruss, Fussell, Fitzgerald, the way Davis is playing right now, it's a really good defense. Oregon's playing as out of their mind right now. I watched all the tape. I was saying to you guys before the pod, if you would have taken out the scoring plays in that game and just watched every other Oregon play against Oklahoma State, and I'd be like, what do you think they won by? I'd be like 60. They're doing every single thing you can do unbelievably well. Their defense looks ridiculous. Uyagale and that line, and then Tuioti, Thieneman looks unreal since he got there from Purdue. They're just, and also it feels so, they made so much hay. Gundy, as he's wont to do, ran his mouth a little bit.
Wait, whoa, time out. Hang on. That doesn't, I think you must be mistaken. That doesn't sound right.
He's a man, and he talked about $40 million. And Oregon was not happy, and he poked the bear. And I think the larger point is this is a team was ranked number 1 all of last season, won the Big Ten, lost 1 football game to Ohio State, has beaten the crap out of 2 people this season, and feels like they're not respected. This is a team that feels like they're the best team in the country and that they're being disrespected. So they're a team playing ungodly good football right now who's pissed off and has a chip on their shoulder. It's and as we discussed, this passing game is just not there yet. I don't know that against this team that might be the best team in the country, we would ever get to the place we would want to be, but it just, where we are right now, it ain't that. And I think you can, look, anything's possible. We were joking today. ESPN predictor gives us a 5% chance on this one, which
there's a chance.
First of all, I'll take those odds in a second. But as we pointed out, that's 1 in 20. That's the old nat 20 on the 20-sided die. Give me that die right now. I'll go for that. I'll blow on that baby, and we'll see if we can roll that 20. But realistically, right? You're looking for moments of individual brilliance, right? It's a huge opportunity for all the guys on the defense. They're playing the very best. Every guy's matched up against the very best. And for our offense, chances to grow, chances for this offensive line to really get some hard work against tough defensive linemen, which is the whole Oregon front. It's opportunity, and of course it's awesome that that they're coming. It's amazing.
Hey, I'll throw this out there. We gave Ohio State 10 times the game that they ever expected last year in Wrigley. And frankly, shot ourselves in the foot a handful of times, which is what really put us in a hole in that game. Now, I'm not suggesting that we could have or should have won that game. But there's an opportunity to rise to the occasion. The eyeballs are going to be on Evanston. This is on national TV. The Fox big
Big noon Saturday. Yep.
Big noon Saturday is coming to Evanston.
We got Gus Johnson on the call, so crazy stuff happens with Gus in the booth.
Do you think Gus is going to study the rosters enough?
No, I do not.
He's had a rough start to the year. I'm just gonna say that.
Do I think Gus is going to say one or two questionable things on the broadcast? Yeah. Possibly,
yes, absolutely,
possibly.
100%.
But so I think the point is like, look, this is a tough game for Northwestern in every possible way. But that does not mean that we should all just like check out and bail.
No.
On one hand, all of us are Northwestern fans. None of us want to see Northwestern get the shit kicked out of us. That might happen on Saturday, but again, we're looking for those moments of individual brilliance. Like, how awesome is it going to be if we see Antosaka or Kilbane or Bastone get home for a sack on a guy that might win the Heisman? How awesome is it going to be to see our receivers going up against maybe the best secondary in the country? This is an opportunity to watch your team against excellence, and there's going to be some great moments. There's going to be some tough ones. Go in with no expectations and know that sometimes in college magic happens.
Right. I think you're 100% right about that. Anytime if Saka gets a sack, Bastone gets a sack, Hubbard gets a sack, Kilbane gets a sack, Fussell gets a pick six, when those guys get drafted, that's the clip that they will play. This is that kind of game. It's just a ton of individual opportunities. Again, you need to steel yourself for the possibility. I mean, like, the bottom can fall out in a game like this. The last time I checked the line, it was 27.5. That was, I think, before Porter news.
I just looked at it. It's still like 27, 28.5, which...
Okay. So that's the thing. Like, it's like, this is the line we're talking about here. I mean, it's for a conference football game, it's like a preposterously large line. And you've all watched the Michigan game last year. You know the way that a bottom can fall out in a game like this, even when the defense is giving you a really strong performance. It's just like, you know what this is like. And again, that's the big thing, is like, you got to avoid the doom and gloom. If we score 10 or less points in this football game, and as a result, the offensive line crumbles from the stress, and that kind of Michigan score line shows up again, you got to understand that doesn't have much bearing on the rest of the goals for the season. It just doesn't.
So to put that 27.5 in context, last year, for the Wrigley game against Ohio State, they were a 28-point favorite.
Yeah. So that's the thing. I mean, and it's like, again, like, we saw moments early on, and then, right, there are a couple of those things went wrong, and they pulled away. But, I mean, the ultimate takeaway from that game was, like, holy crap, Ohio State's such a good football team. Like, I mean, you know, it's like, the other thing, Scuzz, it occurred to me, and I was going to pull up the stats, but I don't have the exact numbers in my head. I'm trying to do it quickly. But our junior year, you and I watched a Northwestern football team get the absolute crap kicked out of it by TCU and Nebraska, to the tune of something like 110 to something like 27 or something like that. Like, two absolute thumpings.
Didn't Purdue kind of thump us too? Or was that
and
closer?
Drew Brees also threw for a ton of yards against us. And we scored a couple of points, but that game was never really close. That was teetering on a blowout also. That team won the Big Ten. We won the Big Ten that season.
Also won at number 6 Wisconsin and beat, what was Michigan? 7th, 12th?
Right. And that's the thing. It's like, you have to divorce your mind. And again, I'm not saying, like, look, like, for all the people listening who are like, you're not giving us any chance, I want to see a miracle. We all want to see a miracle. That same season, to Scuzz's point, we watched us go to Camp Randall and knock off, I think, number 6 Wisconsin. Like, I 100% want to see this. Oregon is playing perfect football right now, or as close to perfect as you can get. And again,
they ain't had to play perfect football while looking at a skyline yet.
It's true.
Yes, that's true. It's true. It's true.
Right on the lake, you know?
And I mean, but again, it's like, what you don't want to do is, if the roof caves in and we can't do anything on offense in this game, and then you see this implosion, and again, it just ends up a blow of football, that really has no bearing on the next 5 weeks. It really doesn't. It's just not part of the game plan here. We will continue to grow, and we will still have that massive UCLA game the following week. Like, The
2 weeks later, we have a bye.
We have a
2 weeks exactly.
And frankly, that's kind of nice. We get 2 weeks to flush, you know, a potential bad game, or we get 2 weeks to build on it.
Yeah.
Right.
If we are able to assert some component of our identity and our will and make some noise in this game, we have 2 weeks to then build on it and get better and continue to figure out what makes this offense tick and what can make this passing game work.
Or,
Right.
and hear me out, we get 2 weeks to come down off of a massive
giant high. Yeah.
Roll that natural 20, baby. Let's go. Critical hit. Hey, I mean, again, the core thing is you can go out and have fun here. Like it's going to be a fun day. As of right now, I think it's like supposed to be 80s that day.
Yeah, maybe a few showers in the morning, but yeah, mid 80s, I think.
Come to the tailgate and meet the infamous Scouseboat children.
Oh yeah,
it's his children.
All three of us in attendance again this week. It's just not my kids that are going to be there this time. It's Scuzz's.
We're hoping, and we'll see that maybe our friends from the Solid Verbal will drop by. That would be great. Make a return. Dan Rubenstein come to rep his Ducks. Stop by the tailgate. That would be fun. But yeah, I mean, we're going to be there in the weather, having a great time. Then we're going to go out to the lake. And again, right, the pageantry of like Fox Noon kickoff here, and that again, it's going to be a historical footnote regardless that we got the Oregon Ducks. Like, what if Oregon wins the national championship this season, which is not out of the question, and then we're like, that team came and played in our 14,000 seat stadium on the lake that year? Like, it's all kind of unbelievable, right? Like that this is actually happening. So I mean, it's like it's nothing. It's something to enjoy. And again, coming off of a win, like there's no pressure here. Like, and again, like there's this again, even if the scoreline and the game goes completely south on us, there will still be growth here that is going to matter for UCLA, like 100%.
And even if it goes terribly, there are going to be some of those individual moments.
Like for sure,
yeah, absolutely.
Come to this game to support the dudes and shout and holler for them when they do make a play, because there's going to be plays that get made by Northwestern, and to John's point, some of those plays will show up in highlight reels for guys later on.
You got to understand too, people. Like, it's UCLA, Louisiana Monroe, and Purdue, and they're all at home. If we win those games, we're 4-3, regardless of what happens in Oregon and Penn State. And this team, as it's currently constituted, that if they just keep incrementally improving, that's totally doable. And then you look and you're like, it's 5 games and like 6 weeks. And then you could find some answers, get some wins under the belt, and then like go to Nebraska, and then we'll see what happens. But it's like if we can get to the point where we're like, man, we have risen up this season, we have made progress, and now we have a chance to attack the back half of the schedule. Like this is all doable. Like this thing is very much real, and as many like downers as there were coming out of the first week and dealing with the Porter thing, like. We can do this. Like, this is like a thing. It's not like pie in the sky here to beat these teams and get better as we do it.
If you or a loved one is seriously injured by someone else's negligence, hire Kent Simpson of the Simpson Law Group. After over a decade prosecuting murder cases in Chicago, Simpson opened his own firm focused on wrongful death and personal injury cases. He specializes in car, truck, motorcycle, boat, and other transportation accidents, as well as construction accidents, medical negligence, slip and falls, product liability, and more. Millions recovered for clients, no fee unless he wins. The Simpson Law Group, compassion, empathy, and vigorous advocacy. Go to simpsonlawgroup.com or call 312-332-2107 for a free consultation, and go Cats. So let's quickly zip through kind of the rest of the conference, what happened this past weekend. There were some massive blowouts. We've already spoken about one, Oregon over Oklahoma State. Maryland beat up on Northern Illinois. Ohio State shut out Grambling 70-0. Penn State 34-0 over FIU. I've heard grumbling from Penn State fans after only putting up 34 against FIU. You guys making anything of that?
No.
Okay.
No. I mean, again, I'm Like this looks like the game of a team that didn't have a completely surgical quarterback and ran the ball really well, and that's basically what they did. It's what I expect from. And Florida International didn't score, which is also what I expect from.
Right. Yeah, they had a little bit of a slow start. Like that's natural. This time, they had you get all hyped up for that first game of the year, and then you come out for your second home game, and you're playing Florida International, and it's not as big a deal, and I don't think there's much to take away from that. I do like Maryland beating Northern Illinois is kind of notable to me. That Maryland is 2-0. Their QB looks good. They seem to be figuring some stuff out, and like Northern Illinois is not a great team, but that's a team that beat Notre Dame last year. So it's I think Maryland. I don't think Maryland is going to claim any major upsets this year, but as a conference foe that's finding their way a little bit and might incredibly enable the extension of Mike Loxley or save him for another year is pretty wild to think about.
It's funny. There's another team we'll get to farther down the score line that I feel like is very much kind of in the same situation right now. But we'll get to them in a little while.
All right, so Illinois beats Duke 45-19, but
yes.
So here's the thing though, that game, Duke did everything wrong. 5 turnovers. It wasn't that Illinois blew them away, but Duke did everything wrong.
So not only did they do everything wrong, that game was 14-13 at half.
Yeah.
And Duke had made a bunch of mistakes already.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the third quarter, Illinois started to get an edge, and then the mistakes for Duke just kept piling up, and then they just fell off a truck, and it got way away from them. And I don't say this, I'm actually quite impressed with Illinois' performance in this game because they went on the road. They played a game at 11 a.m. in Raleigh. It was hot. It was muggy. They were not able to assert their dominance on the ground, and Luke Altmaier showed up. So, John, I'm starting to trend. I'm not giving him any trophies yet, but I'm starting to trend in the.
But I mean, the larger point, right? Though, is we had our feisty discussion about Altmaier. We agreed on the core bones of it, though, which is that Illinois is a great offensive football team, and they know what they want to do. And that's the thing is
their O-line's so good.
Is you know what? And that's the thing. You know what? Illinois got a great offense, a pretty suspect defense, and luck, and all of those things showed up in this game. It's like Mensa. We talked about how Mensa could throw for 1 billion yards in this game. That's exactly what he did.
334, yeah.
But I mean, it's they got all the breaks,
and Duke couldn't run.
Right. Yeah. Right. So
82 yards on 24 carries.
And I think that's Duke's. Duke just doesn't have it there. They're a passing team. And again, I think Illinois was expected to be the better football team here. But again, this is where Illinois is right now. They can run the ball really well. They know what their offense is. Their defense is not nearly as good, but they're just dialed in, and fortune smiles on them at all times. So it's they're, Illinois is loving life right now.
You guys watch much of the Michigan-Oklahoma game?
It's pretty funny. I realized that the final 5 teams we play on our schedule, the one that looks by far the worst right now is the Michigan Wolverines. And maybe part of that is Oklahoma, and the fact that it was at Oklahoma. But Michigan did not look good in this football game.
Oklahoma's defense is better than we gave them credit for as we were
for sure
as we were coming into this game. And Michigan is going to have those growing pains with Underwood. They might be a very different team come November than they are today, but yeah, they struggled. Yeah. They struggled big time, and they just couldn't. This felt like even if this was at home, just felt like they were a bit outmatched, having a freshman QB against a super experienced guy in John Mateer.
And again, I mean, if you're trying to this is exactly the kind of game we're looking for, a gross football game in Wrigley that is low scoring. May it be that.
Speaking of struggling and low scoring and ugly games,
here we go. This is where we 1,000% throw stones in glass houses.
Oh yeah,
I watched
Iowa State. Iowa State beats Iowa 16-13, winning El Asico, first home win for the Cyhawk Trophy in 6 or 7 years. It's weird. The road team has won that game a lot, but
This game was gross, and I watched most of this game because I just refused to watch Illinois. That was just pettiness on my part. Iowa State kicked the crap out of Iowa for most of this game.
Oh yeah.
This game was not nearly this close. Iowa State made a couple of errors and kind of let Iowa into it. Iowa had no offense in this game. They did nothing. Gronowski is all the way down the well right now. This is, and again, like, this is a guy, he's taking a lot of shots online right now, and that's dumb. It sucks. Like, again, this is a guy that we definitely flirted with, and, a guy who's local to this area, but it is not working with him. And I think in a larger sense, though, Iowa, and this is, we've talked about before, like we've been on board for a team where you're like, Iowa had unreal defense and unreal special teams and a horrible offense. Right now, Iowa doesn't even have that. Iowa has a great defensive line and Xavier Nkwampa. That's what they have. They basically have 5 guys, and they're trying to get it done. I mean, it was clear they were just outclassed in this football game.
I want to go back to Gronowski for a second, because I think it's important to note that there's a ton of guys that have had ludicrous, tremendous statistical success in FCS and come to FBS and been great. Cam Ward, former number one pick in the NFL draft last year, is a great example. Max Brosmer at Minnesota last year, another great example. There is no reason that anyone would think that Gronowski could not translate at this level. That he is not translating is, with the exception of the uniform, a bummer. Whether this is Gronowski, the Iowa of it all, some weird combination of the two, I don't know what it is. I said this when we previewed Iowa in the offseason. It is going to be very interesting watching this Iowa team this year vis-a-vis what happened or didn't happen for Northwestern in 2024, when we all thought that hiring Lujan meant Gronowski was coming. And that didn't happen. Is that because he couldn't get in? Is that because he wanted no part of it? Is that because Lujan was like, no, we're not going to go that direction? I don't know what it is. I don't know that we're really going to learn what it is, but it is fascinating to watch Iowa through that lens. And I don't mean that I'm rooting for him to fail or that I'm rooting for them to suck. It just, I find it instructive and interesting to see these struggles from, another member of the two-time FCS championship SDSU team that we got our offensive coordinator from. It's just very, very interesting.
Yeah. I think the other thing, too, the last thing I'll say about Iowa is, in the summer, like when we previewed this team, we kind of came down on, we don't know how this team's ever winning 8 or 9 games, other than that they always win 8 or 9 games. Yeah. And in this game, when Iowa State was dominating but not putting Iowa away, and then Iowa was getting close, I was like, son of a bitch, Iowa's going to win another one of these football games, because they always do this. And we'll see if the fact that they didn't is a bellwether for actual change in Iowa football. We're going to find out.
Big ups to the Iowa State kicker for bombing in the game winner. That was
buckets.
He's
done it to Iowa twice, big time.
Indiana blew away Kennesaw State.
I will only make one note relative to this game, which is the week before, Kennesaw State lost to Wake Forest by 1 point. Now, Wake Forest may be a horrific football team right now, but it's just, if you want to compare what Indiana's like right now to what Wake Forest is like right now, there you go.
Minnesota 66, Northwestern State 0.
So a couple things here. Northwestern State sucks, but it is really clear through 2 games that Minnesota's defense is really good and Minnesota can really run the football. They
scored 35 points in the first quarter.
Yeah, they sure did.
Yeah.
Holy moly.
Their defensive front is really good. And they have Taylor. And
the first play of the game was a pick 6.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think Minnesota's defense, like we talked about, that they lost Heatherman, and they lost some key players, but that they returned 2 great linebackers and a really good defensive front, particularly in the interior. One of the Big Ten's best. Their defense is just really good. Like that's the thing. It's like people aren't scoring points against them, and they're probably not going to.
Rutgers beats Miami, Ohio, 45-17.
Notable in this game, like who knows what it means. Wisconsin beat Miami 17-0. Rutgers beat them 45-17. So, take from that what you will. I don't know.
Wisconsin beats Middle Tennessee 42-10.
Yeah, they seem to figure it out this week. So I'm like Wisconsin does not have a amazing offense, especially with Billy Edwards out injured. But I'm not ready to heap dirt on Luke Fickell's grave quite yet.
It's Alabama's next though, right? I think now.
Well,
we'll see.
Just like us, it doesn't mean anything.
Oh yeah,
like they're going to get housed by Alabama next week,
right? Yeah, right.
We're all smile and nod and enjoy the spectacle, and then the real Wisconsin season can henceforth begin.
Exactly. First 3 weeks, we're not going to learn a heck of a lot. Yeah.
Nebraska 68, Akron 0.
Akron's clearly awful.
They haven't scored,
but
this whole season. They got shut out week 1 as well.
Same thing here. I mean, I think the main takeaway here is it's everything we said. It's like they have Raiola and they have a great run defense. The rest of this, who knows what it actually is? We'll see when they start playing real football teams. But getting that win in week 1 was really big for Nebraska because they're trying to turn the corner here, and they probably have a half decent football team.
I was sort of looking at the return of Clay Helton to this LA Coliseum as like, ooh, maybe. Yeah, no. 59-20.
I'm just looking at Maeva's line. He completed 16 passes and threw for 412 yards.
That is Jade Maeva in a nutshell. Yes.
Yeah. I'm like, Lordy, they can pile up pass yards. I mean, that's going to be the thing. We're going to have to, when we play them, we're going to be dealing with that onslaught. Note, Georgia Southern scored 20 points in this game. Like they're not wired the way a bunch of these teams that we've already talked about are. Like they're going to try to blow teams away with their offense.
Michigan State 42, Boston College 40, double overtime.
This big
come down to two point conversions.
Yeah,
this is a huge game. This is what I want to talk about when Scuzz talked about Maryland earlier. Michigan State we talked about them, that this is a team that we wouldn't say they have really high expectations, but they have a quarterback that they really love, that is already beloved amongst the fan base, and they're looking to try to squeak out these tight games, and this was a huge game for them. I mean, if you're a Michigan State fan, this was a massive win. This is the kind of game that we as Northwestern fans would be crowing about, not unlike that triple overtime game against Michigan State that we won. This is just a huge game for them. It's a huge game for Childs too. But they're trying to bowl. This is going to massively help them.
Yeah, Childs threw for 4 touchdowns. So
yeah,
he did. Real good game.
He looks the part.
Hey, we're about to get to the fun part. We're about to get to the fun stuff.
Purdue 34, Southern Illinois 17.
This game was tied 14-14 after the first. And then, it was 24-14 at the half. And then, it was never really close after that. But Purdue never really pulled. It's 34-17. This is SIU. This is an FCS football team that are not a particularly good FCS football team. And, Purdue they didn't do a heck of a lot in this game. Maccabee ground out 4 yards a carry for them, and they scored 34 points against an FCS team. This is the thing when it's like anytime people are like, well, yeah, you beat the crap out of Western, but it's an FCS team. It's like they don't all go like that.
No, they do not.
Purdue did not have that kind of game.
They do not.
Yeah, again, this is since we're all massively underlining and circling Purdue on our schedule, this bodes well, for sure, particularly if we can solve the Maccabee piece of it.
UNLV 30, UCLA 23.
Yup. Yes, sir. This is, and again, you may be like, well, UNLV's 3-0. UNLV barely beat Idaho State They had to come back in the fourth quarter late to beat Idaho State 38-31. And then they beat Sam Houston 38-21. This is not a good football team. And UCLA was down big in this game and sort of tried to climb out and did not get there. UCLA's awful. They're really bad.
Nico was 29 of 41.
Yep. They're
for 255.
Yeah, that is
6 yards per attempt. He was their leading rusher with 11 carries for 60 yards. It's tough sledding in UCLA right now.
Yep. I'm looking at the numbers. I mean, UNLV rushed for 4.6 a carry. Their receiving numbers, it's all chunk plays, 15 catches for 13 and a half. Like, UCLA is playing bad football right now. Again, like, we play this team in 3 weeks, and right now they're awful. So they come to us. So, I mean, this is the kind of thing where it's like, this is the opportunity right here. They're certainly going to be trying to get better, but we're in a better place than them right now. And if we keep improving and then we get them at home when they're flying in from the West Coast, like, this is all good right now.
Also all good, Washington 70, UC Davis 10. Don't really have a lot to say about that.
Yeah.
Nope. Me neither.
And that's the Big Ten in a nutshell. Real quick, some other kind of big games happening around the country. Some big upsets. Some teams that should have won big and didn't. Some teams that do not look as good as their coach wants them to look. Clemson.
That game does track as a classic letdown. Team tabbed for national championship loses unexpectedly at home week 1 and then lays an egg week 2. But I still enjoyed screen grabs of Troy up 2 scores to none? 16 was it 16
to nothing. 16-0.
May have that been just etched in stone forever, but c'est la vie, 'twas not to be. Clemson actually won, but that's okay.
Yep. But yeah, I mean, Mississippi State beats Arizona State. South Florida beats Florida.
That's the big one. South Florida is your Cinderella of your young season. It's hilarious too because it's like, for whatever reason, they scheduled the most horrific non-con I've ever seen, and they're somehow 2-0, and they have to play Miami this coming week. I'm like,
or they get to play Miami.
Or yeah, they get to play Miami.
Miami's pretty good,
but I mean, South Florida.
People thought Florida was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, they're ranked for this game. I mean, USF is they're doing it. It's awesome. It's really cool what they're getting done.
Catch any of the Baylor SMU game? That was a goodness.
I did not. I heard it was an absolute barn burner.
It's going to be a barn burner.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to say Alabama played another of our future opponents, Louisiana Monroe. It was 73-0. I know that we're not Alabama, but 73-0 has to bode pretty well for that football game. It's definitely
maybe that was payback for the upset in 2007 that you kept referencing that I kept denying in our preview work. We finally found it.
I would say the team that seems to be the most enmeshed in just bad juju is Texas. They have that horrible loss to Ohio State. Then they do better against San Jose State. They win 38-7, and all everyone wants to talk about is that there are a couple clips where it appears that Arch Manning is grimacing in pain as he throws the football, which Sarkisian refused to give any oxygen to whatsoever. But that's a team that's just like, there's no positive press around the Texas Longhorns through 2 games right now. They're probably definitely looking to try to get that turned around.
No, but they're in the state of Texas, and Jerry Jones has shown that any press is good press, right?
That's right.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. No, it's not like it's a pressure cooker down there or anything.
Right.
No, not even remotely. Any other games jump out at you? Ole Miss Kentucky was pretty close.
Ole Miss had to come back in that.
Yeah.
I mean, LSU
didn't look great.
They didn't look great, but all of a sudden they find themselves, as a top 3 team in the nation, which is fascinating. I mean, again, there's part of me that would say, I mean, again, Nussmeier, I think he's one of the guys. I think it's pretty clear. I mean, he wasn't amazing in this game, but I think there's that general feeling that he's one of the 4 or 5 guys that people are like, this is one of, the veteran solid quarterbacks that it seems like everyone either has, a transfer, or everyone has like a really young guy they're kicking the tires on. And then there's this small group of teams that have like a veteran leader, and he's one of them. I will say, if LSU and Oregon played today, I know who I would be taking in that football game. But LSU is still playing like they're playing good football.
Turning the book to this weekend, just real quick, in the conference, Friday night, Indiana and Indiana State. Cool. New Mexico at UCLA.
When was the last? Well, hold on. When was the last time Indiana and Indiana State played each other as undefeated teams? They're both 2-0.
Congratulations.
Larry Bird ain't walking through that door.
Flowers.
Even if he did, he doesn't play football.
Yes.
But yeah, UCLA, New Mexico.
We'll see. I mean, I think like obviously we want to continue to see UCLA look the way that they've been looking. I mean, again, like I'm pretty sure New Mexico's a bad team, and I think we all had this as a win for UCLA, like when we previewed them in the summer, and that's even when we didn't think UCLA might be a great football team. So we'll see. But I mean, we all want to see UCLA stay down the well. That only helps us.
Oh yeah. It's a 9:00 start on Big Ten Network, and for everyone who's getting up early to hit the tailgate 7 a.m. on Saturday, I'm not going to be staying up for that one.
Nope, I will not be conscious.
So yes, Saturday, 11 o'clock, Fox, Oregon, Northwestern. We've talked about that. Come out. It's gonna be a gorgeous day.
I'll have some donuts out there. Like we'll just enjoy that early morning weather and just good conversation, good fun. Yeah, it's gonna be a blast.
Also at 11 o'clock on ABC, the aforementioned Wisconsin-Alabama game.
Yeah, hide your kids. I think like chickens are coming home to roost for the Badgers on this one.
Michigan, Central Michigan, 11 on Big Ten Network.
It's fascinating that I don't know much about CMU. Michigan's 27.5-point favorites in this game, so people clearly think that their offense is going to get things straightened out. So I guess we'll see.
11 a.m. on FS1, Houston Christian at Nebraska.
Yee.
Yeah.
Nebraska's probably going to really put it on him here.
Towson, Maryland is on Peacock at 11 a.m.
Yeah, Maryland's going to get to 3-0.
Yep, they're going to be 3-0 coming out of the non-con.
Villanova, Penn State, 2:30 on FS1.
Yeah, hide your kids again.
The CBS afternoon game, nationally televised, USC at Purdue.
I would imagine there are going to be some TVs in our parking lot tuned into this game. There's a lot we're going to learn here about both teams. I would not be surprised if USC really puts it on Purdue in this football game, but I'll be fascinated to see, like, can Purdue's offense do anything against this USC defense? I would imagine USC is going to pile up points against Purdue, but I'll be very curious to see what happens here.
Also 2:30, Big Ten Network, Norfolk State at Rutgers.
Is Michael Vick going to play in this game? No, then I think Norfolk State's probably in trouble here.
2:30 on Big Ten Network, Youngstown State at Michigan State. Go Penguins.
Don't hork it up against the Penguins, Michigan State. Well, Youngstown's usually pretty good.
That'd be a big bummer after the big OT win against BC.
Yep.
Is it a good thing or a bad thing that the Ohio State game is on Peacock at 6 o'clock? You got to get the streamer to watch this shellacking.
I mean, this is like talk about a payday for Peacock in the state of Ohio.
Yeah, right. I was going to say, I do feel bad for any Ohio Bobcat fans that pay to watch what this football game is going to be. Like, I don't envy you.
I guarantee you the Ohio Bobcat fans are not going to be paying to watch this game. And frankly, 95% of them are probably Ohio State fans too.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. 6 o'clock, FS1, Western Michigan at Illinois.
Illinois is going to beat the brakes off of them. That's the kind of football Illinois is playing right now.
No row the boat here, unfortunately.
No. 6:30, Big Ten Network, UMass at Iowa.
So this is a get right game for Iowa and Gronowski.
It better be a get right game for Iowa and Gronowski. Otherwise,
did you see what the spread is in this game?
What is it?
Iowa by 35.5.
Hooah!
Wow,
35.5. This team is UMass that bad?
UMass is that bad, like because Iowa's defense. I mean, we've seen them do that.
Yeah, I mean, I know. I'm just like
And they're running.
that
they're
presumes
running
that Iowa can score 35 points.
That's what I was going to say. UMass, I'm sure is going to score 0 points here, but Iowa's going to have to get to 35.
Well,
Iowa
scored 34 against Albany week 1.
Yeah, that's
so.
What I mean.
They ran for over 300 yards. Like it's very possible.
Yeah.
UMass is that bad.
Yeah, probably.
And then Big Ten After Dark, 9:30 on ESPN. Minnesota at California.
What do we know
heading
about
out to Berkeley? Big Ten ACC matchup.
What do we know about Cal? I'm definitely. I mean, I see they beat Oregon State 34-15.
And they beat Texas Southern 35-3.
They lost their entire roster. I mean, the QB went to Indiana. The running back went somewhere else. I forget where. Like a lot of the guys left their team, and they've got a true freshman at QB who's looked decent thus far. I mean, again, they haven't really played anybody, so this is going to be a really interesting.
The line is
situation.
The line's Goph's 2.5 on the road. Like, I mean, it's really. They have a really tough game.
Feel like a 12:30 p.m. or 11:30 p.m. game for the Gophers at kickoff. Like,
yeah, it's fast.
It's a 9:30 Central.
Oh,
yes,
okay, yeah,
but it's in California.
Yeah,
so for the Gophers, it's going to feel like 11:30.
No, it's 9:30 Central.
Other way. It'll feel like 7. It'll feel like 7:30 for them.
It is 7:30. It's a 7:30
right.
kick in Berkeley.
It's late.
It
Bad
feels like
math.
9:30.
Again, I'm very fascinated about this game, and I look forward to catching up on what happened in it the day after. Because I will
know that PJ Fleck's in bed by 8:30 every night. You know it.
Yeah.
So, with that in mind,
and he definitely gets up at 4 and then drinks 10 cups of coffee. Like that's definitely who that person is.
PJ's either going to be like tweaking on the sideline or napping.
Right.
What other big games happening this weekend? There's a few. I'm kind of interested in this Clemson Georgia Tech game, to be honest.
That would be so sweet for Clemson to get teched here. I would love to see that happen.
Love to see Georgia, Tennessee, massive.
Yeah.
You
already mentioned South Florida, Miami.
Yeah, that one thing I had read about that I thought was funny is that at some point, CW purchased a portion of the ACC package, and they basically got like the worst portion of the ACC package, and that was supposed to include Miami against a garbage USF team, and instead it's number 18 against number 5 on the CW at 3:30 p.m., which is just great.
A&M at Notre Dame.
Notre Dame could end up 0-2 and still be a contender for the playoff. That is what a playoff does to our college football world, folks.
Yeah, true. It's fascinating.
And if you think I'm crazy, they still have Arkansas, Boise State, USC, and Syracuse on their schedule. And I'm not suggesting any of those teams are incredible, but like 10 wins again with some of those sprinkled in is plenty for them to get into the playoff.
Vandy's got a big one at South Carolina. Pavia's going in there. They're the underdogs, but they've got Superman. It's only a 5.5 point line. If Vandy wins this and can take it, they probably will get to 5-0, which is crazy for the Commodores. They play Georgia State and Utah State after this, both at home. So to the extent that there are high times for Vandy football, this is what those look like. And if they beat South Carolina, that's 100% where they are.
How about Florida LSU?
Yeah, right.
Man,
I mean,
kick a man when he's down. Like Florida man not feeling good right now.
Kick him, Chris. Go get him. Our man Chris Giannini. And our man Josh Thompson.
When does Napier get canned?
Pretty soon.
Yeah, pretty soon. I mean, especially if they get smoked in this one.
Yeah, because after LSU, they got Miami, Texas A&M, Mississippi State, Georgia, Kentucky, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Florida. Oh my God, this schedule!
Yeah, Yeah.
Hey,
it's probably
please
gonna
stop
go
it with
south.
the SEC commercial.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
No, I know.
Yeah.
I know. I'm sorry. I just, I knew their schedule was brutal, and now I just looked at it again. And it's like, holy crap.
Flo-
Man.
Sam, does Florida play number 2 and number 4 in the next 3 weeks? Because the Northwestern Wildcats do.
Sure. They play number 3, number 5, and number 7 in the next 3 weeks.
Oh, okay. Touche.
Can I interrupt you guys to
Please
give you
do.
some breaking news?
Please do.
Some breaking news that's sure to piss off a segment of our listener base, but I don't care. The Chicago Bears still suck, y'all. Hell yeah. Skull!
I was wondering when you were gonna when you caught that line.
I'm on delay. Well, it's not the line. I got it on mute in the background.
Sure,
and,
sure.
JJ McCarthy just took it in for a TD to go up two scores. This game's over.
Yeah, there's 3. This is a Northwestern podcast. We have 3 people on this, and we have Vikings, Broncos, and unaffiliated, which is me.
I will forever affiliate you with the Tennessee Titans because you
always
wore a Warren Moon jersey in college.
In college, it's really funny. Like, that is pretty funny. Like, at the time when Northwestern was winning the Big Ten championship in 2000, I was a massive Tennessee Titans fan. That was just something that I picked up randomly, and then it didn't last. Northwestern became my team beyond that point, and that was it.
Dude, Cam Ward's wearing number 1.
He sure is.
Yeah. Hey,
You can get back in.
Hey,
Your
I
jersey's still relevant.
And
I
he
still
ran
have
into
a
the
Steve
Broncos
McNair.
defense yesterday, so
I still have a Steve McNair jersey that I break out on draft day every now and then. But now that we do the draft pod, it's pretty much all Northwestern for me.
before we get out of here, we do need to mention the incredibly hot start from field hockey this year.
Yes, sir.
They are 4-0. They have given up a grand total of 0 goals on the season. Just a tremendous start. Juliana Boone, the redshirt first year out of Houston, has just been, she has been a brick wall. Nothing has gotten past her.
Surely they've been playing like the Northwestern states and the Norfolk states of the field hockey world, right?
No. They've beaten Richmond, they've beaten VCU, they beat number 5 Duke on the road, and number 8 BC in Durham as well.
Yep.
Oh hell yeah!
It's amazing. I know, like, you think of stick sports, and we've talked about this before, that it's kind of like, oh my God, how can we be going from like Izzy Skane to Maddie Taylor, and just be like, how can that kind of run exist, right? And like, you watch it on this team with the changeover to like, oh my gosh, how can we have Zimmer and have an ascendant Ashley Sessa at the same time? That we could have all those years of Annabelle Skubish and then have Juliana Boone immediately come in. And if you listen to the field hockey preview that we did with Yen Yen Lee, Yen Yen pointed out something really important relative to Boone and Skubish, which is like they're both from Texas and they both came up on this, I want to say like Texas club team. She has been the heir apparent to Skubish pretty much the entire way up through high school, I think on the national team too, and now on this team. So it's like this continuation of this legacy. And yeah, just to come in and be playing this well. We should add against BC too that Ashley Sessa got, I think what Northwestern fans would say was a questionable red card on a stick check, and Northwestern went a player down to BC and scored 2 goals, I think, a player down to win that game without Ashley Sessa. So this team is dialed in right now. Like, they are absolutely locked in. They are crushing the start of this season.
So they got they're at Louisville on Friday night. Where they play Louisville on Friday, and then they stick around in Louisville to take on Miami, Ohio on Sunday. They then head out to Newark, Delaware, the following week to play Delaware. They're at Villanova. They finally come home Friday, September 26th, to start Big Ten play against Indiana. Then they're at Iowa, home for Penn State, home for Princeton, at Rutgers, at Maryland, home for Michigan, home for Ohio State.
We kind of talked during the preview that unlike some of the schedules lacrosse had played, this schedule is pretty backloaded, particularly the conference part of the schedule, because there are a couple of really good teams in the Big Ten. Obviously, you don't want to put the cart before the horse, and especially in a sport where like one big goal, if you don't find a goal all game and then the other team finds one, like that's enough to turn the distance. But on the schedule at the start of the season, it appeared that the massive landmines at the start of this schedule were that Duke game and that BC game, and they came through those games with flying colors. So now they got to go and take care of business on the road against some of these other teams, and then roll into the Big Ten slate.
Any final thoughts before we get out of here tonight, gentlemen?
I have one. We've talked about it a lot on Twitter. We have not talked about it a lot on the podcast. Veronica Burton has led the Golden State Valkyries to the playoffs in the WNBA in their first season as a franchise. She is literally running the point of that team. She is the face of that team. They have exceeded all expectations. They're currently 6th in out of 13 teams with 2 games to play. They technically could tie the Liberty for the 5th seed. I don't know how tiebreakers work, etc. But they've great shot at being the 6th seed and rolling into the playoffs. Burton has been absolutely incredible scoring, rebound. I mean, she's put up her classic steals, and then the assist numbers have been absolutely bananas. John, you've documented it a number of different times, but she is almost, I assume, certainly going to win the Most Improved Player award in the WNBA.
This is why the award exists.
Exists, yes, exactly.
It's for players who take the leap, and we talked about it online. It's so rare that players at the professional level take leaps like this. I mean, people always continue to improve, but to have it's so rare to have a player arrive in the pros and then seem to kind of, through 1-2 years, people are like, okay, I kind of feel like I get the feeling of where this player is. Like Veronica Burton is kind of a player who's going to be rostered, but sort of like a fringe rostered player in the W. And then it's like, nope. Scott said, like, nope, best player on a playoff team. And it's like, that's why the Most Improved Player award exists. I don't know when the awards are going to be coming out, but she's the runaway favorite right now. I think she's most people's consensus. I think there was one other player, is it Alicia Gray, who maybe like mid-season was viewed as the other competitor, and now everyone seems to think that Burton's the consensus. Their coach is going to win Coach of the Year. They are the team. Their over-under for wins was, I think, 8.5. They have something like 23 or 20. Like, they obliterated expectations, and she was right at the head of the line. So, yeah, phenomenal.
Also going to be making an appearance in the playoffs, because she's still playing in pretty much every game with the Atlanta Dream, is Nia Coffey. In much more of a reserve, role player role on the second team. But I like the some of the video clips that you have found, John, of particularly the and one that Burton earned to kind of seal the deal and put them into the playoffs. That they've been playing to absolutely sold out. Yeah, on Paige Beckers. Yeah, they've been playing to absolute sold out bananas crowds. Golden State has been long desired as an expansion city for the WNBA, and they brought it to life this year, and it is pretty exciting to see what they've done with it.
Isn't there some issue with their playoff? Them being able to host playoff games because they don't have the building.
Oh wow, I don't know.
I feel like I heard that somewhere. Like
I would imagine they'll figure it out. They're playing to packed houses. Like I think like the money will make that work. Maybe I'm wrong, but there. One other thing we should mention. This is a sport that we have not talked about very much on this pod in terms of fall sports, but Northwestern women's soccer earned one of the biggest wins in program history this past week. They went down to Fort Worth and knocked off number 4 TCU. Kennedy Roche with a screamer of a goal from like long range, like an absolute missile in the first half, and then they hung on. Like I mean, that team's 4-1 right now, and with a massive win in hand. I think their next game is against Iowa on September 12th, but Again, they're coming off a really special one, and that goal and the Veronica Burton shot against Paige Beckers happened within really close proximity to each other in that game. So it was pretty incredible.
Well, on that note, we'll go ahead and leave it there for tonight. Head to our website, westlawpirates.com, where you can leave comments and questions. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, all our social media at Westlaw Pirates. You can always email the show, westlawpirates@gmail.com. Tune in next time as we give our visceral and statistical views on Northwestern athletics, and look for us in the West Tech lot of Martin Stadium flying the red pirate flag, because we give no quarter, especially the fourth. For John Lacombe and Eric Scasbo, I'm Sam Walter. Thanks so much for listening. We'll see you next time.